Rayner from about 60 takes a little off the kick. Perfect for the youngster. Curtin into an open goal, and he kicks his first in AFL football.
Of the game, and yes, it had a big bearing on it. He raises the arms, and he had a big say in it. 29,000 here tonight.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
It is the Brisbane Lions fan cast. We are back after a pretty lackluster performance against the Cats on Thursday night, which seems forever ago now as we record here on a Sunday evening. But we are going to have a bit of a chat about it because it is an important game and the first of 4 tough games we spoke about just last week here on the show. It's all thanks to Hop On Brewery, to his EB by Hiker, and of course Crisp Marketing, our sponsors for 2026. And a huge shout out to those that got involved and sent us some money via the tip jar at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. Very, very much appreciated. You got your shout out on Instagram, and if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see your name scrolling along the bottom too as well. So a big shout out to everyone who got involved there. It really does mean the world. Patrick, Thursday night, Cats at the Gabba, another wet game, which seems to happen every time we play Geelong at the Gabba. And one thing I did not know is that Geelong's theme song has a second verse. Discovered that for the first time on Thursday night.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've known that for a while. I don't think it's geographically relevant in terms of I didn't know because I was here. Ooh, but more just it's popped up from time to time. I like the second verse. I also didn't realize, because obviously ours is very much the French national anthem, right?
Correct.
I didn't realize that the Cat song was it's changed. It's got a different bounce to it to the traditional classical song that it is, which is one that I actually quite like.
Carmen.
Yeah. So much so that I don't even know the name of it. But, is what it is. But it's got a different kind of cadence to it. But I didn't actually realise that it was that song until quite recently. So, second verse of the Cat song.
Yeah. Did not know.
That's basically...
First time. Yeah. 35 years old, learning in real time that there's a second verse to the Cat song. It was like... Do you remember when you found out there was a second verse to the Australian national anthem? It was like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Australian national anthem had its own foibles where the words changed, and I was completely, didn't know that the words had changed. There was only a couple of words, or a word, and I suppose the older generation didn't like being thought of as young anymore.
No, that's
so
true.
A bit of might have been a bit of imposter syndrome there. Who knows? Syndrome may have been on the cards on Thursday for either team. And as it was, we got found out reasonably hard, but for, in my opinion, reasonably good reasons. So there was some good lead up in the week. I watched Chris Fagan and Chris Scott on AFL 360. Did you watch that?
I watched 3/4 of it.
Not the show. The show's garbage, but them together was pretty good. I thought it was quite nice, and I think there's a much healthier respect from Chris Scott towards Chris Fagan than I think anyone, particularly David King, would care to identify. And I also like it when they're paired together because Chris Scott tends to be a listener as much as he is a talker, and I think that allows Fagan time to actually talk, whereas a lot of the time it tends to just be sort of token, like, what do you reckon about this, blah blah blah, whereas he actually is able to converse. The delay still is a pain in the ass, so fix it. I don't know, so that was good. Like that.
Yeah, very much so.
Selection came round and not the greatest news.
No, Bez not available.
Not.
We all thought he would come straight back into the mix. Obviously, Darcy Gardner came out. Sammy Marshall, for his first game of the season, made the cut. And then a very late out for Dane Zorko saw Jimmy Tunstall take the field as well. So, probably not as many big names as we thought would be coming in. On the other hand, Geelong had some pretty handy ins as well. Blitzarves, Myers and Jack Henry, all very decent ins for them. And as it turned out, Jack Henry played a pretty pivotal role across that game as well. So, yeah.
Now they had a good week, good week in the coach's box. Good week for. I guess they seem very up for the game. They had good ends, as you said. Blitzarves back makes a massive difference because Stanley is not a great player. And yeah, just for us, we just lacked a little bit. I think that there were quite a lot of parallels in terms of the experience level. Kind of between. It was quite a similar game to the grand final. Whereas I remember saying back, corn-rowed as I was, that I did notice that Geelong had quite not that many players that had played in a grand final before, and that inexperience showed on that level because none of their young players, except maybe Jack Bowes, he might have had a good game. None of them really had a good game. And their big players didn't really play very well, and that was really similar. Whereas our young players, that albeit it's not a grand final, but it's the sort of thing where new AFL players or up and coming players didn't particularly play great, and then our leaders didn't play well. I thought it's as poor a game as I've seen of Fletcher and McCluggage, and others.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like everything was sort of ripe for it not to go well. And I think sometimes the midfield tend to cop a lot of flack for not putting on pressure and that sort of thing. And whilst I think it's justified to a degree, I think the inability to kind of keep the ball locked in the forward half was probably the main problem for lengths of the game. The lack of contest ahead of the ball. Morris was struggling with a bit of injury, and Curtin's played 3 games, so you can't expect him to be kind of crashing packs the way that you would sort of want. So, yeah. What was your thought on the first quarter?
First quarter, I thought Geelong played the better footy, as they did for a majority of the night. But they didn't have as big a lead as they possibly could have. And weirdly enough, it was largely thanks to our accuracy in the first half. We were kicking pretty straight compared to how they were going. Yeah, I feel
like there were quite a few moments in that first quarter where it was those classic "the ball doesn't lie" moments, because they were getting a bit of rub in that first quarter, and then they were just spraying their free kicks, which made me happy. Didn't make me happy at the end of the game, but it made me happy in that first quarter. So it was a bit like that, I think. But yeah, I think you're quite right that they probably should have been more ahead, and they were just sort of working the ball from outside. It's amazing what's happened now that they've got inside midfielders. And Tanner Bruin's disposal is pretty awful, but at least he's in there getting the ball and getting it out to their better users. So it's a bit of a different beast. Atkins still just tackles anything that moves, and Holmes and Smith just flit in and out. And we just... you called it with Mullen going to Lachie Neale, and he kept him pretty quiet. It was funny, though, at times where where I said, Lachie Neale's been quiet. He's only had the 4 touches. Bailey Smith's on fire with 6. And I'm just like, okay, cool. What's your metric? So, Lachie Neale had a good second quarter. And the second quarter was just about all that was good that we could have had.
Yeah, it was just a really good 15 minutes in that second quarter where we obviously, the midfield switched back on. We got things back on the scoreboard. We got our game going. Just couldn't quite get that go-ahead goal. We brought it back, and then we probably needed another 1 or 2 to really put some scoreboard pressure on and get them panicking a little bit. But by the time it had evened up, they got the last 2 goals of the quarter as well to give themselves a bit of breathing room. And then third quarter, like it's been said about us before, no one can match the Brisbane Lions, in that 10-15 minutes when they get things going. Well, that first 10-15 minutes of the third quarter, we were on the other end of that, and they just blew it open.
Did we hit the post twice at the beginning of the third quarter, right?
Yeah, there was a fair amount of them, wasn't there?
Yeah, but I think there was 2 where it was okay, cool, we'll get that one. Couple of, and Logan Morris seemed hell-bent on not kicking his 100th goal. which is, see it in cricket all the time in the 90s. But yeah, it was a weird one. And then Sean Manor just sort of turned up, and they were, credit to your man David King, they were making a lot of room for him at forward half stoppage. He did kick 2 of his goals bleeding. That made me annoyed. So should have been off the field. But I suppose if you can wipe it away and hide it as well as you can. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, you got Bailey Smith pointing it out to the umpire. So maybe we need to snitch more on guys like Sean Manor. But yeah, he had a really good quarter, and Geelong had a really good quarter, and ultimately a really good half. So there wasn't really a lot that we could do. They had too much class around the ball, and they were just, they were exposing certain players, and their forward structure was, and I'm sure we can talk about that as a larger kind of sort of theme. Their forward structure was really interestingly and cleverly done, having the extra tall there to kind of just create a threat at every moment and to try and split and make sure that if Neil was on Harris Andrews, he was in a place where Harris Andrews was irrelevant to everything else. So, and it's fun playing in a forward line with your brother. It's fun. That's all I'll say. So,
look, they took away all the weapons, everything that got them in the grand final. So obviously Charlie Cameron, they knew, obviously he kicked 4 in the grand final. He's had a great start to the year. So O'Connor went to him, and Cameron ended up having a pretty good game. One of the best on. Obviously Mullen went to Lockie Neal, as you said, but yeah, they just made sure that Harris Andrews wasn't going to towel up Shannon Neal, and every time that he got that match up, he would just drag him up the ground, and as you said, where he was basically ineffectual. So then Jack Henry went on to him in the back half and to try and tag him and make sure that he was kept quiet, and it worked. And obviously Zorko not there for our ball movement. We just looked fairly inept, like our marking game was taken away from us, and we just looked like a team that not only had 3 6-day breaks, but just tired and sore from really long seasons, shortened pre-seasons, and just no continuity week to week as well. At least 2 or 3 changes each week, and it all looked to get on top of us on Thursday night, where we just looked spent.
Yeah, it is compounding, I think. So the 10-day break that we've got now, I think, is good. But I think we should just be looking at, going back to basics in the way we play. But it is hard. They basically just, they called the bluff, or they said, look, we're going to put Jack Henry forward because we don't trust that your talls down back are good enough to hurt us. And Tom Stewart was a massive factor again, which is basically the case most of the time we play him. How good was him and Harris Andrews hip and shoulder?
Yeah. It wasn't exactly the biggest hip and shoulder you've seen from Harrow. He was a little bit off balance, and it wasn't quite a full lineup, get him clean, but it was a great contest, and Tom Stewart was immense. We just kept kicking it to him. But they made sure we kept kicking it to him. Geelong were really good.
And they had pressure on the ball, and we just... It seems so simple. It seems so simple to be like, just don't kick it 25 metres in line to the goal. And we didn't do that at Cardinia Park last year. We made sure. Jumping Jack White. Jack White is from the White Stripes. Jesus, I do that every time. Jeff White. He's got a coaching job with the girls, doesn't he?
Yeah, with the women, assistant there. So that'll be really good for them.
That's great. Hopefully, he's a good fella. But yeah, he identified all of the things that we did at Cardinia Park that we didn't do in this game. So if you want to watch how we should have done it, that's how we should have done it. But maybe the conditions played a part in it as well. It didn't seem to be that much of a effect in the first couple of quarters, but then when that down ball happened and then they went 5 or 6 goals ahead, it was like you clicked your fingers and you're like, fuck, how are they how are they 82 points? What the hell's happened?
I went to the game with my mate Shane, and I said to him, as it happened, I was like, and just like that, it's 7 goals. and it's just playing catch up from then on, and clearly couldn't get
it's
it
not
done.
really possible. Yeah. I think it was definitely the case where we needed to be a couple of goals, or have a little bit of a lead at half time, and then look at trying to kind of lock down on the play, because we just, against a defense like Geelong's, we have scoring power, but it's nullified, and those things compound, yeah, so it's just, I think you nailed it with the continuity. There's a lot of players that are playing that I don't think would make most starting teams.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, but there are a hell of a lot of guys on the injury list that would be walk-ins in every team in the competition. So that's kind of both sides of the argument, and it just kind of sucks for some of the players that are struggling with fitness at the moment, and it's what's leading to, Fletcher had not a great game. And you would trust him in the last 2 years to go, well, you're going to play on a small forward and don't let him beat you in a contest every time. And it wouldn't happen. But it did this time. And it's just it just goes to show. And I mean, you said after the first grand final win, when he went straight back to preseason the day after, or a couple of days after. So it's pretty clear that he has his own way of going about things, and if he wasn't able to do that and wasn't able to kind of keep himself, maybe that routine is what he needs to ensure like a good campaign, and he obviously didn't get that. And Dunkley's dropping the ball, Logan Morris dropping the ball, like it's just stuff that you never see, all happening at once. So pretty much how that was. Levi Ashcroft was pretty good.
He was pretty good. But as Fag said in the post-match, there was a lot of our sort of senior, better players were well off the boil. So too much left to too few. And once again, Geelong just made sure that was the case as well. They were really, really good. And they didn't come here for a haircut. They were here to assert their dominance and let everyone know that they belong in that top 4 team conversation.
Yeah. Zach Guthrie definitely needs a haircut, though. Holy moly.
All right. Well, that being said, we got a 10-day break, which has come around at the right time. Absolutely, because when we chat about the VFL as well, like that continuity is just trickling down to them as well, and they're just getting smacked week in, week out. So let's, thanks to Hop On Brewery Tours, hand out some votes and not really talk about this game much more, I reckon.
Check out the best breweries across Brisbane and the Gold Coast with Hop On Brewery Tours. Book a half or full day tour at hoponbrewerytours.com.au.
Can you please go first? Because I don't have my phone on me, so I can't share.
Yeah, I'm going to go Charlie Cameron the 3, Wilmot the 2, Levi the 1.
Yeah, I thought Motti was pretty bad, personally. So Charlie the 3, Levi 2, and then 1 can go to Dan Curtin for kicking his first goal, which made me happy.
I'm assuming you mean Cody Curtin in this.
Yep. It's been a long day.
Fair enough.
I'm losing my mind. One vote goes to Paul Curtis. Who knows? Struggling. Losing my mind. Yes, not a great... I think that review will be pretty brutal, but I think it will be kind of contextualized and hopefully not too much. You don't want to intellectualize things that are potential to grow, but I think that they'll be like, this is what happened, this is how it happened, we need to make sure it doesn't happen again. So, yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and I guess...
Two's got flogged, right?
They did, yeah. Now, it must be said, Geelong... their VFL team is top of the table. But yeah, they just absolutely smacked us. Beacon was good again, so he's putting his hand up for senior selection. I feel like Reece Torrent came off with an injury. Will Mack had a couple of moments, but it's really hard to sort of... Darragh Joyce was good getting back there, and he had his work cut out for him because that ball spent a lot of time in that forward 50 for the Cats. So a really tough showing. Absolutely smacked again, and it's not a good period for the twos at the moment.
No, continuity, it's so unquantifiable, but it's also like, I used to play in a six-a-side indoor soccer thing, like in Melton. It was super rough. It was great. And it was a pretty useless group of people that I was playing with. Like, I basically went and was like, who's the team that have people that have room for me? Because I didn't know anyone. And the guy's like, yeah, these guys, like, they always struggle to get players. When we got all 6 of us there, holy crap, were we good. But that happened like once every 7 weeks. Oh, other time you'd have this guy filling in this, and you just like, what foot do they kick with? What are they good at? What's his name? Like, and I'm assuming it's a bit like that. I'm assuming, like, they probably know each other's names and things like that. But yeah, like, just the inability to kind of to trust what people are doing, and that it can surely would just be an absolute piss take, really. Starting to hit me wrong after all these years of injuries. It's getting to me.
Yeah. All right, well, for changes coming up against the Giants, you'd have to think Jared Berry's going to be right to go because he was basically on the precipice on Thursday night, but an extra 10 days, you'd have to think he'd be right in the frame. It looks like Noah Answorth, they put a 2-week timeline on him. Hippie's only a couple of weeks away, 3 or 4. Zorko would come back in, you would think. It was weird because he was laid out, but he was cited as managed, so not really sure what to make of that one. But you'd have to think he comes straight back in. So Bez and Zorko in, Marshall and Tunstall out for mine.
Yeah, we lacked a bit of that. Yeah, Gallup was a concussion and a hamstring, so
yeah,
we're not sure where that's at. You've also got Link McCarthy to think about as well, because I think he's exactly the sort of player that would have suited the game.
Yeah.
So, between Gallup, Berry, Zorko, Lincoln McCarthy, that's, I know Gallup's only a second-year player, but like he brings a little bit to that, and he would bring a contest, whether it's behind the ball or ahead of the ball, and whether it is the sort of thing that would free Gardner to go forward to also create a contest. It's really up to it, but I think, yeah, for sure, I think Curtin probably comes out, Marshall, Tunstall, and one other, like McKenna? One other. Yeah, it could be McKenna. It could be. I think if McKenna comes out, then McCarthy will go in. But if not, then it's probably the case of you going Berry, yeah, Answorth. So you got 6 that could come in. That's a lot of changes.
It is.
I didn't love. Yeah, I didn't. You know me. I like Kane Corns. I didn't love what he said in the kind of round so far thing, where he said that drop Fletcher and look at the omissions, and Fagan doesn't swing the axe and sort of thing. It's like, he doesn't swing the axe. He has done it, Do you remember the classic People's Changes from years ago?
Yes, that's right.
Where we were like, here's what we think they'll be, here's what we wish they were, and they were exactly, we got our wish list. It was amazing. Like, he has swung the axe, and he has made calls on players. Daniel Rich, Jack Gunston, like things like they I don't want to hear this stuff about them dropping themselves. It didn't happen. Like, it's a PR thing. So he does do that, and our omissions have just been down to injury and going, well, yeah, you're probably not going to play Joyce if Gardner or Gallup are available. Like, you're not. You're not going to pick James Tunstall if Will Ashcroft is there. It's just, like, it's stupidity. So, horrible take from Kane Corns. Hell's frozen over. I've disagreed with him.
Yeah. I mean, I get the sentiment of what he's trying to say, of like, hey, things aren't necessarily going our way.
Yeah, he's just barking up the wrong bush, though.
Yeah. He's been known to do that before. So, look, we'll see. there will obviously be changes next week as we come up against the Giants. How many of them, I don't know. 3, 4, something like that.
But I just think it's the sort of thing where, like, you know, hypothetically, if you were like, oh, well, we'll drop Cam Rayner, and then you put in, like, Connor McKenna, are you really... Is that really the wise thing to do? You know, are you really... Would you put a player that's got less quality or potential or, you know... I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't know. But yes, so I am looking forward to let changes. And we'll see.
Yeah, Sunday game, so we won't find out exactly what's going on until Friday.
It's going to be amazing when all 6 of those players get named on an extended bench and then no one has a clue.
Exactly right. Oh boy. All right. Do you want to do questions or tipping first?
We will do tipping, but I just have to go and get my phone.
EB by Hiker is your home for away games. Live footy on the big screen, good beers, good food, good vibes. 65 Manila Street, East Brisbane.
And of course, if you go to ebbyhiker.com.au right now, you can book yourself some tickets for that game day package coming up on Sunday against the Giants. $70 if you use the code word LionsFancast26. That, of course, gets you 3 hours worth of drinks and a main meal from the kitchen. The tipping, of course, brought to you by EB by Hiker. Now, there is still a game going on at the moment, which is up in the air. Eagles and Giants at the moment. That's currently halftime, and the Eagles are up. So we're going to have a quick look at the tips here. And Hayden is doing well on 7. Another Hayden got 5, but a small margin. Hayden F leading all comers this week so far, 7 with a margin of 28. So Hayden F, get in touch. You're doing very well this year. Currently sitting on top of the leaderboard. You win the weekly prize of 300 waypoints thanks to EB by Hiker. And of course, if Hayden in fact does continue on his good form, he's going to win a grand final watch party worth $760 or thereabouts, $790 I think, thanks to EB by Hiker. As the rain comes crashing down outside me here. Sorry if you can hear that one.
That must be what's tooling with your internet, right?
Sorry?
That rain's probably what's killing your internet, right?
Yeah, probably. I tipped the Cats in the end. I changed my tips. So I lost out on Hawthorn and Carlton, all the Dogs. I told you there'd be at least one upset.
Hold on, did you change your tip to Geelong?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you son of a prick. I tipped a margin of 5, basically, because I don't have the heart to tip against the team, but for all money, that's one. Because I was wondering, hold on, where do you get your 6th from? Yeah, okay, so you're a prick and we're the same.
And I have tipped the Giants in this last game, but the Eagles are currently up at this point, so who knows what's going to happen there. Let's have a look to next week. Hawthorn, Adelaide at down in Tassie on the Thursday night. The Thursday night Tassie game is a bit of an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we're going to talk about the fixtures, but, you know, a Thursday night Geelong Lions Cardinia Park one is a pain in the ass too for people that are in Melbourne, because you can't get down after work and you can't get back before fucking 2 a.m. So good on you, AFL, you absolute clowns. Hawthorn in UTAS is probably a different story. You know,
they're going to want
a bit of a topsy-turvy season. Yeah, for sure. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think, you know, looking at maybe like 27 points sounds good.
I've gone the Hawks by 14. Dreamtime, Essendon and Richmond. Yeah,
I mean, Essendon is the safe bet, but you never know. It's so... I won't be watching that game.
No, I'm not exactly going to be tuning in for it either. When Freo and St Kilda, or well yell up, and Euroke on the Friday night as well, is looking like a fairly decent match.
Oh, have we got another double Friday night? How is this a good idea?
It's not.
Like, who thought it's a good idea? It's never... I reckon an upset could be brewing with North Melbourne against the Suns, but I'm going to tip the Suns anyway.
Yeah, Suns don't play Marvel particularly well, but yeah, they should beat North. Well, Geelong Sydney at GMHBA, that is a good match. Sydney for me.
You're going Sydney at GMHBA.
I am.
Bold. You're going to change that, aren't you?
No.
Okay. Collingwood probably. Port Adelaide. Yeah.
If Collingwood lose that match, my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Would love it. Port Adelaide. I mean, Carlton, I think they got the new coach bounce of Josh Fraser. I have seen him coach a game for the North Preston Bull Ants where they beat Carlton. That was fun. So, have seen him coach before. Lions and... I'm
going Melbourne.
Marvel Stadium. Now, Melbourne against the Dogs... I don't like either of those teams.
You know, it feels really horrible to say, but I'm liking Melbourne at the moment. Like, they're fun to watch. Most of the pricks are gone. Like, Goodwin's gone, Oliver's gone. Petrarca, I didn't really have much against him. Stephen May's gone. They've still got Cozzy Pickett, who's a bit of a sniper, and Harry Petty that we all love here as Lions fans, but they're fun to watch, the way they're playing their footy.
Well, are they going to go? I mean, they're undefeated at the MCG, right? But Marvel's a different story. Bulldogs.
Dogs?
Yeah. That's what we got to do. Tipping is fun, isn't it, guys?
Can be.
Yeah, if you tip against your team, that is.
Crisp Marketing are your outsourced marketing managers. From social media and newsletters to design and websites, they handle it all, so you can stay focused on your business. crispcoms.co.
Tipping in the bag for another week. Let's have a look at the questions thanks to Crisp Marketing. And if you want to get your questions in, you can always get in touch via socials. You can head to the website, send us a message there. Or, of course, you can join the Discord. The link to do that is also at our website, brisbanelionsfancast.com.au. Mad Lion Ross, did we look a little beaten up in that game and maybe we're just looking for the bye? Are we at a stage that we are too reliant on inexperienced players and twos regulars? First half of that question, yes, we are looking a little bit beaten up, a little bit sore, a little bit tired.
Yeah, the first part I agree with. The last part I agree with. The middle part about looking for the bye, no. I just don't think that's the case. But yes, we're playing too many twos, regulars, and inexperienced players, and got a bit beaten up and that sort of a thing. But I don't know. I think 10-day break happens at a good time. Give them a couple days off, and let them recover properly.
Yeah, big time. Tom is looking well ahead to the end of the year. Who would you want to target in the draft? Now, I don't really know much about under-18s football. I don't really follow the draft or phantom drafts or anything like that. But in terms of like the type of player, I think this year is showing we need some help down back, especially with key position players. I know the club's going after Ridley again, and that looks sort of more likely than unlikely at this point.
Yeah, I don't get that, but I think I would never advocate picking an Andy McGrath, pick one, a back pocket. But if you can get two back pockets in the 20s, Noah Answorth type, I think that's kind of I think that's sort of the stocks. It sort of just depends on what you're doing with Payne or, where you think Zach Kostelski is or all that sort of thing. But I think Harris being there and Froggy being there will make any kind of small or, key defender, young key defender, not small, young key defender would tend to, I guess, level up in their ability more quickly. But, if Gallup is the one that's destined to play back there, and you've got a combo of Harris and Gallup and, Gardner or Lester hang on, or if Payne comes back, then you're looking pretty good. It just does seem like we're struggling with Smalls in a way that we haven't for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about it. We've got a few of the same type, Kitty, Moddy, Fletcher to an extent, and obviously Zorko. But yeah, since losing Stas, and Archie, who could potentially play a similar-ish type of role, and with Answorth being out, it's just we've definitely got a hole in that. Josh says, if Berry or Zorko can't get up for next week, is it time to give Luke Beacon another go? He's been one of the shining lights in an underperforming VFL side. True. Tunstall and Marshall looked a little lost the other night. Well, they weren't alone there, to be fair.
Yeah, well, I think it's a case of both of them together, and many players. I think if you just had put Beacon in instead of Tunstall or Marshall, he probably too would have looked equally as lost. So I don't think that. I think it's a compounding thing rather than an individual. And if both of them came out and Beacon went in, or if both of them and Cody Curtin went out and Beacon came in, and there was a bit more continuity, that's the word of the day. Then he probably would look better. But also I think Marshall would probably look better if there was all of them and Marshall. And Tunstall looked better in the game that he played more recently, where it was just him. So kind of a loaded question. I do agree with it, but also I agree from all parts. So we'll see.
Shadow Brain is another one that has sort of been training down back in that sort of area, not really getting a look in, and doesn't seem to be in much discussion either. He's probably worth a go. We've sort of seen Jimmy a couple of times this year, but Shadow's been pretty good in the VFL as well without absolutely blowing it up. He's been all right, been serviceable. It might be worth giving him another go. A little bit more height and a bit more body than Jimmy as well.
Yeah, Shadow Brain tends to be a bit more of that medium size, so he's probably more similar to Starcevic because he's also decent aerially as well. And we did see that when Starcevic and Answorth were in the back line together, that worked really well in the grand final against Sydney because it gave us two options for the kind of shutdown job. And obviously in the first half of... I mean, that said, Starcevic was out a lot last year as well. God, I just wish our guys were healthy. Wish they were healthy.
Yeah. And then the questions are coming through about Tommy Doedee. Cameron, is someone who doesn't watch much of the twos. What is the go with Tom Doedee? It's a great question. I mean, that question does go on for a little bit. He just doesn't look up to it, hey? He's had, 6 or 7 weeks in the twos now as well.
Watched,
and just
so, I mean, the twos...
a few little bits here and there that are all right. But,
I can't really comment, but...
He looks slow, and I'd hate to see how slow he looks at AFL level as well. Yeah, and that sort of gives me cause for concern about this Ridley chase as well, because another bloke with a pretty prolific injury history in a similar-ish role, sort of... Yeah, I don't know.
Ridley's sort of one that, I don't spend a lot of recreational time watching Essendon because they're not particularly good to watch. So Ridley's one that you sort of never really... I probably don't understand how good he could be, in a similar sense that, when Tom Doedee was touted to come down here, he was very highly regarded, or come up here. It's really highly regarded, but didn't watch a lot of Adelaide. So it's really hard to comment on the quality of the players, which I should probably know better, but a lot of football every week. And it's also hard to go back 2 years and then watch Jordan Ridley speculatively pertaining to his potential to come to the Lions 2 years after missing 2 seasons. So, yeah. Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Tom Doedee.
Last question from Tom simply just says, is it over? No.
I thought he was asking whether the question time was over, which the answer is yes, it was over before that question came in. But is it over? No, that's insanity. So
I think, once, knock on wood, once we can get a little bit of continuity and we can get our best footy going in the back half of the year, we just got to qualify for finals. Like, that's what we got to do, is finish ideally in that top 6. I mean, top 4 would clearly be best option, but top 6, qualify for finals, then the work begins again. And I've doubted this team enough over the last couple of years, and they've proved me more than wrong time and time again, so I'm not going to do that again. What I will say is, though, is our defence, defending quick transition is a bit of a worry. And I remember saying this to you after we pretty comprehensively beat Collingwood. I did say to you, like, when Collingwood did get their, forward scoring chains going, they were moving it pretty quickly through the middle of the ground, a little bit too easily. So I sort of had a little bit of an eye on it from there. And that was really quite exposed on Thursday night. So that is something we're going to have to work on, and something that's been pointed out by Champion Data and stuff, of a big area where we are not doing particularly well on is defending transition.
And I don't think that, by the way, the transition becoming the buzzword, I said that would happen 2.5 years ago. So it's been nice to see that happen. They're listening, I assume. Hoyney's probably in there, but going like, who are these two guys? Just tooting my own horn. But I feel like our kind of being played through has been a problem for 3 years. It just isn't a problem when we choose for it not to be a problem. And whether it's the amount of effort that's required to do that and to play our game in the other way is too much to do in a home and away season for every game. But I mean, looking at the table, you look at where Freo and Sydney are, and it's like, yeah, like, cool. I don't think that they're going to maintain the level of form that they've got the whole season. And we've seen it. It doesn't happen. Like, it hasn't happened like that for a long time. So Geelong did it in 22. But aside from that, teams that go to a big early lead, they fall down. So waiting for them to fall down, I think, would be my thing.
It'd be interesting to, like, I'd love to know how Sydney fans are feeling right now, with their team, sitting pretty on top of the ladder and, just smacking everyone they play. But we've seen this episode before. So I wonder if Sydney fans are going, yeah, this is the year it all comes together, or are they wary because they've been burnt before and, they've seen good starts to the year?
You can't. And the thing is, we've seen us be in good positions in previous seasons before we won a premiership, not trusting the fact that it would be our year, because we were like, oh, we've gone out in straight sets a couple of times. Like, that stuff sticks with you. And I think that goodwill on the other side is like, well,
yeah, we
have won premierships against the odds, and it's not likely to win a premiership. But last week we were still premiership favourites. This week we're not.
No.
And that's technically, that's based on la gambling. So, which, for anyone wondering, that's what the favourites are, is who's paying the shortest odds. And it was us last week, and now it's not. So, yeah, it's fine. We just keep going, and we try and get better and make the things we're not doing as quantifiable as easy to do. And I think, Chris Scott said it before the game. He said the Lions are playing at 75%, if that. So, and far out, that game last week was not 75%.
Yeah.
Might have been 75% of a diesel engine without a turbo. So, yeah, but no, we'll be fine. I think if we get to a point where we're bleeding more wins and where our place is looking suspect, it's not getting far off that point, but at the same time, we'll be fine. This month will be good as well, and we started the month off shitly, so do our best.
Well, yeah, chance to rectify that against the Giants on Sunday down at NG. They're going to come back from Perth, obviously, in a shorter turnaround for them. We've got a couple of days on them and smaller travel, but they're still missing a couple. Jack Buckley went out as well, so I'm not sure where he's at. He might come back into the mix. But yeah, they just, speaking of no continuity, the Giants are well and truly up there in terms of not being able to get continuity on the park for them. So we have seen it though before. Aaron Cadman tore us a new one last year. Finn Callahan, we've seen him rip us apart as well. Lockie Ash is stepped right up in terms of his output. And of course they've still got, Toby Green, Jake Stringer. So they've got handy players. They're just not putting it all together at the moment.
No, they're not really able to do that. When's the last time we played at NG rather than at Manuka?
Yeah, geez, it'd be a minute, wouldn't it?
Because we seem to be... probably NG, the last time we played NG was the final.
The Danaher game.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But before then, I think we hadn't played in friggin' ages as well. So it's been a bit of a weird one. But yeah, I think it might not be one for the football purists, but it might be one of those ones where both teams are struggling in certain similar ways that it just all comes together and it's a really good game. So we'll I guess, wait and see with that one. But they have got threats everywhere. But also similarly, they'd be circling all kinds of threats, even with our issues with team. So it's... Clayton Oliver will be there.
He will.
He's having not a bad season.
Yeah, he's having an okay time. He's not... Yeah. Yeah, he had 4 or 5 years there where he was really sort of in the top echelon of players, but he's really come back into the mix since then. But he seems like a happier fellow up there and playing a little bit better footy. He's no Tom Green, though.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not. But Tom Green vaguely looks like a psychopath, so it's kind of the steely eyes. They scare me.
All right, well, let's wrap things up with a bit of chook chat. Played today at Maruka, took on Ferny Grove. They were very, very tough, and the weather was all over the place. First quarter, hot and sunny. Second quarter, bit of a breeze. Third quarter, light sprinkle. Fourth quarter, downpour, but still hot and sunny. So all over the shop, but managed to get the win. So another win for the Chooks, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Nice. How did you fare?
It is... today was one of the worst games of footy I've played in years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So,
How many years?
Lots. Still hit the scoreboard.
Is it worse? Is it
all over the place?
Was it worse than that game where you did your shoulder and then didn't get to play football? Wow.
Probably.
Is your shoulder all right?
Your shoulder's fine, but yeah. No bueno today, but still got the win, so that's the main thing. And
so when you said you hit the scoreboard, did you points or goals?
Both. I think I ended up with 4-4 or 4-5 or something, but just all over the place.
So hold on. Hold on. Your worst game in years was still a 4-goal game.
Yeah, I mean, yes. And 3 of them came in the last quarter. But, yeah, man, I was
junk time Brooksy.
Yeah.
Junk time JB. I'm just trying to think of some sort of knob commentator on Fox Footy that would be like, yeah, my worst game is still one of the best. Funnily enough, I said it in David King's voice, but throw a blanket over him. Well, that's good. I've had some truly awful games where I've done absolutely nothing, so big thumbs up from me.
All right, let's wrap things up. Nice short one today, and we'll be back in a bit over a week's time to have a chat about this game against the Giants, who may or may not be coming off a pretty embarrassing loss against the Eagles.